Hey, and we're live. Hello, everybody. Kate Buck Jr. here, and welcome to your Media Buyers for Hire monthly Ask Me Anything AMA. Today we have, I say this every time, but I believe what stands to be our best AMA yet. So not to set the standard too high for you or anything there, Brian, but we have Brian Littman of dedicatedemails.com on the call, and we're going to talk about both the publishing side and the email advertising side. He's got a lot of content prepared. You guys saw those, the bullets that I put out. So I hope you came prepared with some good questions, and I'm just kind of chatting here for a few minutes while I see people coming on. And if you are on, let me know that you're here by saying hello in the chat. And also let me know that you can see me and hear me just fine. And also when Brian comes on and starts talking. So how are you well, I was about to say this evening because it's 8 p.m. where I am, but it's 2 o'clock Eastern. So how are you this afternoon?
I am great. 2 p.m. Where are you?
I'm living abroad, so I am in Croatia at the moment. Just got here on Sunday. So yeah, I'm in Europe for the summer.
I'm in South Florida.
Yeah, South Florida. All right. I think we have people from all over. Ben says he can see and hear. Jordan says hola. Graham is here. Graham is over here in Europe with me too, so he's on watching late. I don't know if we'll have any of our Aussies on, but anyways. You guys are Dedicated Emails is you guys sell the largest ad seller, and you have very responsive lists, but you were saying earlier you're also a publisher and you don't just do the brokering. So why don't you just introduce yourself a little bit and tell people, why they're here listening to your expertise.
I'll give you the quick Cliff Notes versions rundown. We've been in the direct response email space probably for 17 years or so at this point. Maybe a tad longer. The genesis of it all is we started in the personal development company where my brother had a Tony Robbins style thing. I was a day trader during September 11th, 2001. Went home long with some stocks that September 10th. We all know what happened next. Lost kind of my position in that space. Got a job selling Yellow Page advertising in 2002, which is very glamorous. Luckily for me, they offered everybody money to leave. At the time, I was working for Verizon. They said, hey, we're having bad PR. So instead of just laying you off, we're going to give you money to leave. I took the money. We started working with my brother in that capacity in New York City. And to make a long story short, everything that we've ever done is based through email and list growing and email monetization. So a few years ago, we got sick and tired of doing joint ventures and all this other good stuff. And we said, you know what, we're just going to start renting our list to people. We already knew a lot of people. So instead of dealing with the day-to-day of this guy paying me and that guy paying me, you just paid me for access to my list. And from there, we've gone on to grow 30, 40 of our own list. And we probably represent about 80 lists in one particular space. So I'm going to go over that with you just to see just to tell you, all you guys obviously aren't going to fit into this niche, but we'll go over how you can find other people like me out there. We're in the male 50-plus niche. A lot of it is conservative, slanted, politically. A lot of it is gun lovers and, a little bit more people who are outdoorsy, a little bit more people who are let's call it anti-establishment, but a guy with a job, a guy with a, solid income. And overall, I'd say we're definitely one of the leading players in like the male-dominated space. Now, if you ask me why we're not in the other side of it, it's really apples and oranges in terms of who the advertisers are. So we made a real effort over the last few years is kind of to just stay in our own home, to specialize in a given area, because my advertisers are not looking for female-dominated lists, and the female advertisers are not looking for mine. So instead of being everywhere, we just kind of decided to be really deep in one area. And again, not knowing everything that everyone does, but as media buyers, there's definitely a lot of advantages to that and becoming kind of a go-to source for particular niche versus trying to satisfy everybody. It's not always true, but I would say generally it might get you deeper. Deeper might be better than wider. Not as a generalization.
There are many, that's what she said, jokes I would like to make. But besides that, I would also like to say one of the questions that comes up for a lot of our media buyers is the difference between US and then international. So are those lists specific to the US or are they also international, or obviously they'd be segmented?
So there's all, in my world, I focus on US stuff only. And believe it or not, probably 30% of our people who buy advertising from us don't even live in the United States, but their clientele,
they're selling, their clients are.
So I'd say generally, like I'm going to lists that are, and I'm going on Google and I'm going to places, I'm targeting more of that US person because my bigger clients are all United States based. They're all dealing with, shipping something, whether it's a holster or a supplement, and kind of they don't all want to deal with the international aspect of it. But that, and I know other people in my list, but I'd say overall, most lists are 60, 70, most lists that people are renting these days are 60 to 80, 60, 70% US. But I think there's an opportunity everywhere depending on really what you're looking for. It's no blanket answer to that. But my lists are US only for the most part.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so cool. Let me talk to you a little bit. Now I give you a little bit overview of dedicated emails. Let me talk to you about the reasons to do email advertising, some of the benefits, some of the drawbacks. But the most important thing for me right now is I like real-time questions going on. So anyone who's in the right side, if you're hearing something or if you want to jump in, it's going to help me to answer your questions now versus going back. So feel free to jump in and ask, and I'll get to it. So there's multiple reasons to do email advertising, and there's multiple reasons to not do it. I don't necessarily, we'll go over them. So the reasons to do email advertising really come down to the people that you're getting from an email have already made decisions to opt to do something. They opted into somebody's list. They clicked somebody's offer. They took their credit card out of their pocket while sitting at a computer. And generally, if your business revolves around following up with your clients and building a list and communicating with people, you're already getting people who are predisposed to doing what you need them to do in order to put food on your table and help them as well. So you're getting an opener, you're getting a buyer, or you're getting a clicker, and you're getting somebody whose habits show that they're checking their email, once a day to 800 times a day, like most of us. And if your business has an email list and is looking to grow an email list, there's no better people to get than those. So I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but generally, historically, I can get an email person could open up, 10 to 20% of the emails I send, not everybody, but on an average. And then the people I get through, let's say, a display network, usually start at a 5 to 12%. So eventually they do turn into a better opener and a better clicker and a better buyer through email. But it really just depends on where where your media budget is and where you want to start in that area to, what your client's looking for and or what you're looking to do to scroll your business. Let me just see. Do you sell access to hotline contacts? Alex, I'm not that familiar with that, so the answer would probably be no. Some of the drawbacks to email advertising are, unlike Facebook or unlike Google, you're not going to start with $5, or you're not going to start with $100 a day. You're not going to start with $50 a day. You're probably going to go in. You're going to be there for, with me, it's usually $1,000 or more. And I guess there's some people it's $3,000, some people it's $5,000, and some people you might be able to buy something for $300. The key with the whole idea with any of these is most emails, you have to believe. I believe I either have my clients believing or they believe on their own through their own experience that email is easier. email requires less of, my opinion, quality of an offer, strictly because we're pushing ourselves into somebody's world, into a demographic or to a list that is predisposed to something that should come with some level of credibility, versus, let's just say, on a website where you're clicking on a banner or seeing something just in a little different format. That being said, the scale of email is lower than the scale of Facebook, obviously, and Google Display and other display networks. So each one have their own pro and con, but overall, they all do fit into an advertising program, or what you're planning to do with the budget, your own budget or somebody else's. But depending on the niche as well, there could be reasons to do more of one and do more than the other. And a lot of it really comes down to what I want to talk about next. Again, if you have any questions, jump in. Comes down to what's yours or your client's business model. And some people's business models, hey, we just want to sell as many supplements as we can, and our email list isn't as important. I completely would say they're missing the opportunity on that. Some people would say, hey, I don't care how much money I lose to an extent. I want to build my email list as soon as possible, because I know the fortunes in the follow-up, and I know that if I build a relationship with them and if I offer them products and services, I could build my own ATM machine and make money from it forever. So a lot of people get in their own way. I'm a huge believer since 2000, 2001 in losing money to make money. I'd love to hear some other people's opinions on this, but I'll preach it forever in an advertising scenario. My contention is if you're making money on your ad spend, you're not spending enough. And I'd love to get other people's opinions on that. It's definitely I've definitely had to go through that with clients over time. Our clients spend from $10,000 to $300,000-$400,000 a month with us. Some of them just expect to lose money and just build it in their model. Some of them come in saying, hey, Brian, I spent $1. I only made back 92 cents today. What's wrong with you guys? And we go through the process of me having to beat them up a little bit and kind of have that bell ring. But a lot of it does come down to your model. And somebody on here, I'm sure, is saying, man, this guy's so wrong. We spend $1 a day, we make $1.50 back. And my contention would be, how much money are you spending in a day? To just expand on that a tad, if someone spent $100,000 with us and month one they made 15% back and they weren't really monetizing it further along, I'd say, man, they're losing a ton of money when that person thinks they're making 15 grand. The bulk of our clients have a 30 to 1 year window on there, and 1 year is too much for me. I just don't think that's needed. But a fair window of return definitely will allow you and allow your business, if it's your own, to scale quicker, and B, if you're working with clients, it will allow you, once you get the kind of snowball effect, it will allow you to get their ad spend from $1 to $2 way quicker, in my opinion, because the threshold of success comes down, but the long-term value of the business goes up and the long-term opportunity for success. So if anyone could just write in that live chat if I'm making any sense, maybe a why if I'm making sense, just so I know you guys are, what I'm saying is resonating. I could expand on it deeper if need be, but I'd love to see some feedback here just so I get a good idea if I'm on the right track right now. Just grab a quick sip of water.
Yeah, this is all really making sense to me. But you guys, Alex, Andrew, you guys pop in the chat. Do you have any questions or any particular point that you'd like to for us to expand on?
Well, like just one guy on here, Matthew. We me and him worked together for a long time, and me and him had a lot of conversations on this over time in a previous company he was at. And I do believe that over time, it does take some people a little time to break down their mindset of, wait a minute, you want me to lose money? But again, I look at it as if whoever's losing, my kind of quote, and I tell people to put this in front of their computer, whoever's losing the most money makes the most money. So obviously it kind of goes both ways to how you want to see that. And I say within reason. I don't want anyone waking up tomorrow and being like, Brian, you told me to lose money. I just lost my house. No, you want to lose something that's respectable. You want to then, over time, give yourself the ability to lose a little bit more so that you can scale more. So we can go back to questions on that as we progress. But let me talk to you about how to find lists in your niche and how to best use brokers. I'd love to see the people who are here, anyone tell me what niche they're in. But generally what I've seen in this game is a lot of people in the health space, people in the financial space, people in the health financial, two of the biggest ones, both on the women's side, on the men's side. The biggest markets that I've seen are 50-plus men and moms. I think moms are a tremendous market. I think they're actively reading email. I think they're actively on the web, looking at content, finding it from Facebook. So to me, two of the best niches out there are moms and 50-plus people who are still not, like, let's say, overly addicted to their phone and still checking email on a consistent basis. So kind of how to find lists. Andrew, we should definitely speak because survival is kind of what we're known for. A lot of times it's, if you're in a niche of women, women type stuff, women's health, I'd go on Google, I'd search women's health email lists, women's health online advertising, women's health digital ads. Generally from areas like that, from searches like that, you can really dig a little bit. I go 10 pages deep by the time I'm done, and you will find tons of people who are offering you access to their email list. Once you kind of do the initial searches on that, you start using other words, that would resonate in the space. You're not always going to find a broker for some of the areas out there, but you generally, a lot of times, again, I'm a broker also, we're also publishers. A lot of times going direct to people is the best. So the best way to use brokers, and we'll kind of just flip-flop back and forth on these. Best way to use brokers is they're going to shortcut you the time on finding the lists that are in your niche. The positive of brokers is the amount of time they're going to save you. The negative of a broker is they're going to charge you more money than what it costs to go direct. I believe most brokers who have the right intentions are looking for that comfortable balance where you can work with them forever and want them to make money. And then there are some people out there that are kind of looking for more of the, let's make money off you day one, and whatever happens, happens. Most of the people that I know in our space are definitely more play the game how I do, where it's like, hey, we got to get you started, we got to get you a win, and we plan to make money together over time versus kind of that like spammy way, which is like, hey, spend $5,000 today, let's see what happens, and most likely that's going to go to deaf ears and you're never going to hear from them again, and you're just going to sit home and be annoyed. All right, let me answer this newbie question. For broker lists, if the subscriber inbox becomes saturated after a while, become harder to battle. I think I think email is almost as good as it's ever been. I have not seen any decline in open rates over the last few years. You have to remember also battle for attention. If I asked you to name 6 emails that you got yesterday that weren't from your friends, I would bet that half of us on the call, or 80% of us, couldn't even remember what they were. And you might have even bought something yesterday and still not remember it. So email being pushed into your life, into your inbox, I don't think there's a huge lasting effect, unless it's something more of like a, like some of the things I get are either a sports, like a fantasy football type thing, or a, some people know who like Jim Cramer is and like getting emails from him. But for the most part, I don't believe the battle for attention is as crazy as people think. They requested it, which is part of it. People are saying, hey, you can't email them unless they've given you access to email them. But at the end of the day, also, you got to remember, you're really looking for 7 to 20% of people to even open a given email. So knowing that you don't need 50% of the people to open up an email, it is I don't think that look, if I got 50% people open my emails, I think something was wrong, but obviously the business would be, tripled. But I would not focus too much on that. I'm a big believer, just to go on this a little bit deeper, I'm a big believer in the more email you send, the more money you make. Now, that might not be true for some people. I couldn't necessarily name who those people are, but generally, knowing that you have a 10 or 20% open rate, I don't believe, and some people might say, I got a 38, great. That means email them even more. I would say generally you want to, the more email you send, the more email you make, you want to, I'll go a step deeper, even though this wasn't part of it. I believe people want to be sold to and they want to buy things as much or more than they want to read your content. Again, some of you guys might disagree with me. Each niche is different. But I believe people are looking for products and services to take their credit card out to buy things that could benefit them more than, and they're going to benefit more from that more than free content and things along the line. So everyone has their own mix. We generally mix content with promotion. Promotion does go out more. One of the best ways to have you and or your clients work in that capacity is more advertorial-based promotion. Content with promotion in it is definitely a nice way to kind of kill two birds with a stone, but with one stone. But that's kind of, I'm willing to go deeper on this as questions pertain. But I would definitely, try some of these things and push people. Everyone starts, I could email my list 3 days a week. Then you're like, hey, let me try a 4th. Hey, let me try a 5th. Hey, wait a minute, let me try an 8th. Let me try a 10th. And believe it or not, you'd be shocked at what it could do for your business. Again, any feedback would be great on that, just so I can expand on any areas anyone's looking for expansion on. I believe most of you guys are working with clients. So some of these tips, you don't have to say they came from you, and you can take credit for whatever you want, but I would challenge some of your clients, anyone with an email list, I would challenge them on pushing the limit on what they're doing. And they don't have to be married to it, but see how it affects the bottom line. I really, really think that whoever emails the most makes the most, and let's add that helps the most people. I know we're forgetting that we're looking to help people here, but that's surrounded through the whole entity of what we do. And whoever loses the most makes the most are the two kind of things that always resonate with me and in my conversations with my clients. Yeah, total common concern for clients. I get it. Let's talk about what a spammy list is, or how to differentiate yourself. And this is, I'm not fully right on this. Everything I deal with is in the opt-in world, not in kind of that like, hey, how'd this get in my inbox? But it was legal to do it for them. I'm not a cam spam expert or anything like that, but people can get into your inbox or your spam legally without you opting in directly to them through the terms and conditions and all these other things. One of the things that I look out for in finding other opportunities is some of these like List USA companies and all these other ones, they're more compiled lists. I would kind of write that word down, compile. They might say, hey, what email address do you want this to be sent from? Hey, we're going to send it from, your domain. There's a lot of things out there. Now, don't get me wrong, some of the biggest campaigns in the market are done through campaigns like these. I don't know enough about them to tell you to do them or not over time, but I do think for most of you who are looking to play a little bit of a safer game, first-party email is when Brian collects the email address and emails the person and has permission to. Third-party email is more of like that, hey, how did that come here? Again, there are parts of it that are legal. I don't know the ins and outs of it. And there is way bigger scale in the third-party game, but you really have to know what you're doing. You really have to know how to play with suppression lists. You really have to know who you're dealing with. And you really have to know, what's the dark side of it all, which is a lot of people in that game are doing CPA deals, and you might wake up one day and have a great day, and you might wake up a week later and there might be 85% refunds and credit card issues, and you might hear from your merchant account saying, oh, I just had a friend, big client of mine, almost get his merchant account shut down from stuff like this. And it was actually through Facebook more than anything else. But you kind of really want to stay and find your niche and stay in it. Anyone who tells me that their niche is everybody, I don't feel like they're digging hard enough. Like, yes, Amazon's niche is everybody. I'm not sure yours or your client's niche is everybody. Or your marketing really shouldn't be set to everybody. Again, generalization, but I find that it's definitely easier to sell to somebody than to sell to everybody. All right, let me take a quick sip here. Any questions, thoughts? Anyone want to jump in? I'm more than happy to start answering some questions, and I have a few other things to go over if there's no other questions at this time.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any questions come in, but I think that I'll share a comment, as I totally agree with you. I train on social media manager side, and they're working with clients as well. And everyone thinks that whatever they're selling is, that they want all the customers and they just need their customers, and speaking to one specific avatar, even if you break it down within like a demographic, right? You still need to continue to break it down even further, and you can have 5 different avatars with the same 10 different avatars for the same product, and you're now writing 5 or 10 different funnels to write to that specific avatar. Do you roll out to one at a time if that were the case?
Us, I'm not really going to work with a client whose marketing material isn't set up to talk directly to my market. It would just it would just be, hey, why didn't it work? Well,
but for these guys that are listening, that are kind of building some of this stuff for people, is that
I would definitely find the
recommendations.
Like, I would Steve O'Connor asks about, does health include sports? It depends. So if you say, hey, Brian, I work looking for basketball training, then I would say, hey, who's buying that training? It's probably the mom of a 7 to 18-year-old. So I start figuring out, I don't know if 24-year-old men are buying that. So, but again, I would talk one thing. This is just a broad example. I would talk to a mom who's buying it for their kid potentially, and I would talk to a kid who's wants to buy it, who wants to go show it to their parents to go and buy it. So I do think you don't have to get crazy on it, but I do think that you're doing yourself a disservice if you think everybody wants that you're selling to everybody, because not necessarily that it won't work, but your advertising just can't be focused enough to talk to a 62-year-old retired guy in Miami and 34-year-old home, mom who works from home, housewife from Iowa. There's definitely different avatars, there's different testimonials, there's different ways to talk to them. So Steve says, we're looking for cyclists interested in online coaching. Dedicated emails is not right for that. But if you went to search cyclists advertising, cyclist website, cyclist magazine, cyclist digital magazine, cyclist email list, I guarantee you find 5 to 20 places where you can email them, begin the conversation. A lot of these people might be like, wow, I never thought of that. I have an email list of 30,000. We're going to charge you $300 to go to them. And you're like, that sounds amazing. So some of the biggest untapped areas are the guy who doesn't know that he can sell advertising in his list or on his website, because you can hand them some money that they didn't have, and you could probably get a rate that's going to be way better than a year from now when they realize that 80% of the business could be had through selling advertising. So just saying that, also talking to your clients, a lot of people's biggest opportunity is turning around and saying, wait, we have this, I look at a list as a demographic. So they might be people who want to be cyclists, but what else who is that cyclist? It's a 40-year-old man who probably has a decent job, he has to afford a bike, member of a club. What else are those people interested in that are congruent? Is it helmets? Is it the new cool light that goes on a bike? Is it any of this cool stuff that's out there that, so again, to just give another idea to your world, any client that has a list that they're not monetizing correctly, another way you can help your clients make money is by introducing them to, hey, let's have other people rent your email list. and charge them money for it, and we can open up a whole new profit stream. So I think that should help a lot of you and a lot of the clients, because it's my favorite part about having a list rented, both for me and for the people whose list we represent, is they hit the send button that day, they get paid, they don't have to go chase down the money, they don't have to wait for a person to get home from vacation to say, oh, we forgot we owe you money. They get paid. If there's a problem, they send some more traffic. If person really bombs. And generally, overall speaking, if you find the right people in your niche to work with and everyone's on a win-win scenario, generally you can find a lot of hidden gems in this world. So I highly recommend for you guys, for your clients, if a lot of you guys are doing like social media advertising, I definitely recommend kind of opening up a little bit, spend a little time doing some of these searches, and see what happens. No, Steve, we do that in the niche that we're in. We do that in the niche that we're in. We don't do that in niches where our clients aren't looking. But I guarantee if you spend an hour before tomorrow at this time, you'll find 5 to 8 opportunities that will sell your product, grow your list quicker than some of the other stuff you're doing, and get people that have opened up an email, have clicked on an email, and most likely are an engaged email eyeball. So metrics for a successful campaign, it's very difficult to tell you generalization on it. From the opens, it's hard to make money on a list if the opens are 3% on a real list. On a spam list, they might send to 4 million people. You might get a 1% open and you might do great. But generally in the first party game, but let me also give you this that I just came into my mind. I'm going to write it down. A list is only as good as its price. There are lists that are $5,000 that someone will come across, they say, oh, this list stinks. But if the price was $3,000, they'd say this list is amazing. So you kind of have to bite the bullet in the beginning and get started. Always negotiate a little better price. People who come to me, I've already built in initial discounts for them. And usually we're pricing for long-term relationship. But generally, if you're going to the outside world, you know, you want to feel good about it. You're going to be, if it's your first time doing it, you're going to be a little nervous that day. My biggest advice I can give to you is be prepared to be underwhelmed. Be prepared to blame them, but know that your email creative and or subject line, most likely email creative, was probably the reason why something didn't work. I'll walk you through kind of, this is good, take some notes on this. I'll walk you through the mindset to which I have. It's like kind of 3 steps in it. One, first thing somebody sees in an email campaign is the subject line. So subject lines can be right to the point. Something like, check out this, I don't know, check out this weight loss plan, or I don't know, that would be a good subject line, but you know, something direct. And then there's more something with intrigue, which is, you know, one of the famous kind of subject lines is bad news. Bad news, you know, so you want to kind of figure out for you what's going to be right. Is it more direct where you're getting less opens, but hopefully a person who's a little bit more focused on it, or you go in the other route because you know you're in the right area. I call it fishing in the right pond. If you're selling a gun, a holster, let's say, and you already know you're going to a gun list, you know, you already know you're kind of fishing in the right pond, so you don't have to get overly exact on it. But again, I've seen overly exact pull better than the opposite. So it's something you got to test on your own. So the second thing somebody sees is your email creative. And I'll tell you, third is obviously your sales page. I believe people should let the selling be done on the sales page and not try to sell them in the email and then resell them again on the landing page. So I like more short intrigue / a few benefits. I don't love 10 bullet points. I think you can oversaturate an email. And I would take that and test it as hard as you can. I've had some clients prove me wrong, but I think as a generalization, you go from get the people to raise their hand and open, give those people enough information to click, and then let your sales page do the work. That's what you paid or your client paid someone to do or did. So if all of a sudden, going back to successful metrics, you see you got a 10% open rate, and then you see you got a low click-through rate, and you see a low sales, we know that where we need to start isolating the testing. Most of you and most of your clients will not be successful in their first venture into email copy and this whole process. A lot of people's and that's one of the drawbacks of email advertising is you got to go in a little bit harder monetarily. But once you get that pop, and once you get that optimization down, it's way easier than a lot of other things out there. So step one is getting them to open the email. Step two is giving them enough meat to want to continue. And step three is, use your sales page. That should be split testing should be going on to, get them to buy your product and hopefully use your product. So at the end of the day, if you're doing a lead gen campaign, you got to find where what your threshold is for paying for a lead. If you're doing a straight to an offer campaign, again, is there continuity on it? It really comes down to what model you or your client is in. I have some supplement people a little difficult. They have a high cost of goods. They usually initial purchase is a little higher than some of the other stuff, could be $100, $200, and they do have continuity some on the back end. So, every niche has its pros and cons on it. Email is not, you still have to have a good offer, you still got to be optimizing, and you still can't, if you come to me and you say, or you go to anyone, you say, well, it's working on Facebook, why is it not working here? That's because you probably spend most of your time and marketing budget on getting it to work on Facebook. Every area has a little bit different of kinks in it to draw it out. But again, it really comes down to your model and your client's model as to, okay, we got a lead, we got a buyer, what are we doing with them? Is the fortune in the follow-up? Are we making money today? I'm guessing a bunch of you guys have clients who don't even email their lists. Huge opportunity for you guys to bring more value to your clients by showing them how to monetize it. It's very simple, and it will allow them to pay you more money over time because you're going to be making more money because of it. Then just going to the scaling mindset. A lot of guys come to me and they're like, well, it's working on Facebook. And I'm like, well, how much are you spending? They're like, $2,000 a day. How come you're not spending $5,000 a day? Well, I don't know if it's going to work then. Well, to me, depending on where you're at in the business, some people that number is 200. Why are you not spending 400? Some people that number is 5,000. Why are you not spending 10,000? For me, you could either take what the market's going to give you and know that over time, your numbers probably will decrease on that front. Or the second part is you can say, hey, maybe Brian or maybe a lot of other people out there are right, is if I'm making money, I'm not spending enough, and I'm stopping myself from scaling in a bigger way. Let me just see what Steve said here. So that's, do you guys censor subject lines or they're not severe? Yeah. We try to be, you're not going to send out, you want to be fair. You want to respect the publisher. You want to respect the reader. You don't want to, there are times to be controversial. It depends what you want to be. But yeah, the publisher most likely would do some level of censoring on that and on the email copy if need be. Alan asked, the only reason we're not using email as advertising channels is simply because I'm concerned getting hit with fines given we operate in the UK. Alan, I think that's more of I think everyone's concerned with getting fined. I think it's understanding your marketplace and understanding what you can and can't do. I don't know the specifics of each. I know Canada has some crazy stuff, but I also know that there's a bunch of Canadian companies that advertise with us. So if you have a business that's making money and you could spend a few dollars to get the right terms and conditions set up and learn the rules, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be good ROI on that. So all these things just come back to business model, budget, getting the client and or yourself set up to succeed in any of these areas to advertise, and then kind of respecting the pros and cons of each different advertising opportunity. Again, some are harder, some are easier. Some require more upfront, some require less upfront. And some are just, at the end of the day, you just got to kind of find out what's going to work for you. How can we be 100% certain that the people who are being mailed? How can you be 100% certain to receive third-party promotions? First, you can ask the person. Second is if they opt in, if they gave their email address, I would generally say that that person on their terms and conditions page probably said you will receive stuff from us, emails from us. I don't have an answer for that. That's finite, but I do think that you can ask the person that you're planning on advertising with. Kate, I think that kind of wraps up the kind of overall thoughts that I have. There's definitely levels to expanding it and going deeper on it based on questions. If anybody has questions, I'll take them. If anybody wants to connect with me on the side, I'll spend as much time as you need to get it to work, and give you the help that is required.
Well, let everybody know what is the best way to get in touch with you, and if they have questions, want to chat with you, or want to work with dedicated emails in any way, like for their lists or their client lists, that kind of thing.
It doesn't let me type it in. Let me see if I have to do this in different.
Yeah, you just kind of have to put spaces. Okay. So put your email in the chat there.
Yeah, there's my email address. Again, anyone has any questions or thoughts or anything, feel free to email me. If I forget to get back to you, feel free to say, hey, Brian, you told me you'd get back to me, but you didn't. I will. We can talk on Skype. We can talk anywhere.
Are you in the Slack group? Are you in our AdSkills Slack group?
No, I'm not on any of these things, so I can definitely get involved in those.
Mike is, so we'll make sure to get you put in. I noticed that Mike was.
Okay, yeah. So feel free to reach out to me anyway. Hopefully, I gave you at least 5 cents worth of value there. Feel free to challenge any of the assumptions and take it from there.
Yeah, I think it would be great if we can have some people try some of the stuff out that you said. Come back, let us know how it went. That'd be really awesome. So thank you.
It didn't go well. Just it's not my fault. So.
That was actually really jam-packed with a lot of content. Probably our best, one of our best ones. If you guys really liked it, definitely give Brian some props in the chat and let him know. Brian at dedicatedemails.com if you want to reach out with any questions or any ideas or any proposals or any, I don't know, maybe they want to send you. Let me say this.
The last thing I'm looking to do, even if you guys just want consulting help for yourselves, I like talking about this stuff. We're not looking to sell your coaching or anything like that. It's not what I do. Just reach out and we could take it from there.
Yeah, perfect. Easier to sell somebody than to sell somebody.
Oh, to sell everybody.
Than to sell everybody.
Sell somebody and to sell everybody. 100%.
Oh, yeah, I read that wrong. 100%. Okay, well, yeah, thanks everybody for being here. Thank you very much, Brian, for your time and lending your expertise to us this evening. And I'm going to wrap up for today, and we'll bring you back. I think we should have you back another time.
I'm ready to roll whenever you need me.
All right, thanks.
Have a good one.
If you'd like to learn more about how to use paid traffic and analytics to scale your business, subscribe to the AdSkills channel so you'll be notified every time new content is released. If you'd like to learn more about the topic we just discussed, check out the related video we're posting right now.